As you guys know, this channel is solely built on starting a conversation, meaning I want to talk about things and get you guys involved in the comments. Now, in the distant future, one thing that I want to make a regular thing on the channel is sort of a Q&A Sunday sort of vibe, where you guys are sending me in questions and recommendations, and I'm then doing them for you. However, with our grand 100 subscribers, I don't see that being a possibility anytime soon. So instead, I found a website that will just give me random questions so that you guys can get to know me a bit better and we can start a conversation about random topics. If you guys go on to enjoy this video, please hit it with a massive thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know in the comments what I could improve, and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and who knows, one day you might be one of the people contributing to those future Q&A Sunday-esque videos. So our first question is, have I ever saved someone's life? Now, I think of these two stories probably very different to the actual reality of them happening. Both of them happened when I was quite a bit younger, and they, you know, the facts might be skewed ever so slightly with my memory. But the first one is, there was this massive Dalmatian that lived next door. My brother was probably like 1 year old. I was maybe 3-4 years old. And this Dalmatian came running into our house, and he was huge. Like, he was nearly double the height of me at that point. And I just remember him kind of running into the room where my brother was, and I was just stood in the doorway trying to stop this dog from getting in. Now, the likelihood is this dog would have done nothing more than a lick on my brother's face, but in my head, I was some sort of superhero, and it's safe to say I've used that story to try and, you know, like, woo the ladies in the future, let's put it that way. Another one also relating to my brother, so if these two are true, then I've saved his life twice. The hill near us when it's snowy is great for sledging, and we were up there sledging together with our mum and dad and going down the hill on this sledge, and we didn't realise that we were actually going towards a quarry. Now, that is certain death right there, and I'm pretty sure I remember myself a little bit ahead of him. I saw the quarry first, stopped, and then I pushed his sledge as it went past me so that he just fell off it instead of going off into the quarry. So I would argue saved a life. If history had been recorded at the time and we had video evidence of it, maybe it wouldn't be quite as dramatic as I remember it in my head. But you know what? I'm a superhero in my eyes. What is one of my favourite comfort foods? Now, if you've watched me on stream before, you guys will know that ice cream is a massive favourite of mine, and I used to eat it quite regularly. That, along with chocolate, are two of my favourite things. However, New Year, New Me, 2020 style, I've actually cut them out completely, and I haven't had anything in 2020. Now, it doesn't sound very drastic considering I'm recording this on the 27th of January, but for a guy that was eating maybe like 1 or 2 tubs of ice cream a week, that is quite a massive jump. To go from 2 a week to 0 in total, that is pretty decent. So I'm quite happy with it, how it's going so far. I'm doing it for January at least, and then I'll make sure that I do it in, you know, manage it a little bit better as we go forward from there. But for now, I'm quite chuffed with what I'm doing, and hopefully you guys will see me get a little bit slimmer throughout the year. If I lost all of my possessions in a fire, for example, and only one was saved, what would I want it to be? So I would probably... I've thought about this, and even though a lot of the things that I use in my house are expensive or like are really key for what I do as a hobby, for example, I am a massive family man, and one thing that I've got downstairs actually has my granddad's ashes inside it. It would have to be that. I'd have to save that. I could lose everything else in this house and wouldn't care. That is the one thing that I 100% want to make sure I've got. Now, I'm quite an opinionated bloke, so when I got the question, when was the last time you changed your mind on something big, like changed your opinion on something major, I can't think of one where I've actually changed my mind. I've definitely changed the way I do a couple of things, but I don't think it's changed my view on something. I don't know, it's hard. But like, I don't think there's anything in particular. I've got like, I liked maybe some music that I didn't like before, or there's a certain app that I use that I thought was stupid before, or something like that. But other than that, nothing really. I'm too opinionated and too stubborn to really change my mind, and that's a massive thing that's bad with me, I know. But to be that opinionated and to be that stubborn that your thoughts are the correct ones is sometimes a good thing. What's the story behind one of your scars? Now, I have got a scar just across my elbow there on the inside of my arm, which you probably can't see on the camera, but it is there. It's quite faint now because I did it when I was quite young. But when I was 8, 9-ish, maybe 10, I was quite lucky in the fact that I lived in a house where we could play football outside in the street or in the garden with no bother. We could ride our bikes up and down the street with no real threat of traffic or anything like that. It was quite a nice neighbourhood to say the least, so I didn't really need to go very far to ever like play with friends and stuff. It was just easier to play at mine and play in my street and stuff because it was the nicest place. And I remember when I was probably 8, 9, 10-ish, I actually went to my friend's house, which was like the other side of the village. Now at the time that like blew my mind that I was that far away from home. And, you know, boys being boys, we ended up doing some pretty stupid stuff. We climbed up this tree, which, you know, isn't the most drastic thing in the world. But for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm breaking the rules here. So I climbed up this tree. We were like chilling out in the tree and stuff. It's absolutely fine. Then I went to get down out of the tree. And as I did, scratched along my arm. It was, you know, a reasonably deep cut, but nothing really major. It's left a scar, obviously. But, you know, it wasn't like I needed to go to the hospital or anything. But in my head, I was in massive trouble. So even though there wasn't really much pain, I just remember bawling my eyes out, thinking that like my parents weren't going to let me come out again, like I completely ruined everything and that I'd made a complete fool of myself and stuff like that. In reality, my friends didn't care, my parents didn't care. It was all in my head at the end of the day. But for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm miles away from home and I've completely ruined this. But it was all right. When people come to you for help, what do they usually want help with? So I can think of like 2 people in particular that will come and ask me for advice on different things. But the main thing is usually relationship related advice, which I'm happy to give, but let's face it, with my track record, I'm probably not the most experienced and most successful person to talk about relationships. So it always baffles me when people do ask me about that sort of thing, but I'm happy to help with that sort of thing as well. And I think that part of the podcast in the future might be you guys sending in like your problems and me and Jack kind of giving our advice on helping you guys. That's a potential like podcast segment that we might do. But yeah, they come to me for that sort of thing, and I give the best advice I can, but at the end of the day, I've been dumped more than anybody, so I wouldn't trust my advice, let's put it that way. What is one of your favourite smells? Now, I don't know. I don't really know. There's one that's kind of popped into my head. So I used to work at like, it's like Home Base, but it was like the ghetto version of Home Base. It was a crappy like home store. And they used to sell all sorts of stuff from like massage chairs to cushions. It was a very weird shop, like cutlery in there as well. There was like little like sort of like Christmas decorations. It was the weirdest shop ever. It was no wonder it got closed down, let's put it that way. I didn't get sacked, got made redundant because the business went bust. But in that shop, we sold candles. And one of my favourite things to do when I was at work and it was a little bit tired, a little bit quiet, sorry, I'd walk around, I'd go up to said candles and give them a nice whiff. And there was one in particular that was really nice around Christmas time. It was a cinnamon based one. So I think the smell of cinnamon is one of my favourite smells, just because I used to literally go up to that candle, take off the lid, have a good whiff every hour or so to get me through a work day. So yeah, maybe it's cinnamon. What's my earliest memory? Now, I've talked to you guys about how I've protected my brother. This is one where I was definitely the reason why he got damage done to himself. So we were playing like the floor. We were playing the floor is lava before the floor is lava was even a thing. We were playing that in our old lounge, and we had like a what we called a puff, which was like just like a footstool. We had 2 sofas, a windowsill, a mantelpiece with like the fireplace on it and stuff. That was probably the only things we could really climb on. Maybe like a bedside table sort of thing in there as well. But all in all, not a lot to climb onto. So we were playing like the floor is lava, climbing up different things, and I decided to turn it into the floor is lava tag, where I'm basically chasing my younger brother around the room, jumping off all this stuff. To put it into context, I'm probably 6, my brother is 3. And I decided to chase him, was starting on the sofas, chasing him across the room, jumping from thing to thing. And he gets up onto the back of this like armchair. And behind the armchair is the windowsill. So it's like, oh yeah, cool. You know, he's got loads of places he can still go to. So I jump onto the armchair. As I jump onto the armchair, he fell off the back of the armchair. And underneath the windowsill was a radiator. He cracks his head on the radiator, ends up having to go to hospital to get checked out. I end up going to a friend's house over the road and sharing a bath with him. So, you know, weird story, but it's probably my earliest memory. And it was, yeah, not a good one from me. What's one of the great values that guides your life? Now, I used to work in a very Christian-orientated, like, place. And so a lot of the Christian values were kind of bestowed on me quite a lot. Like, I had a lot to do with them over the years that I worked in that sort of establishment. So those to an extent kind of guide my life in a way. I do believe in them to some extent. Doesn't mean I'm massively Christian or religious, but the beliefs that they have are definitely things that you should follow. But one of the greatest values for me is determination. To be determined and to be able to like stick to something is a value that I've instilled in myself very recently. Beforehand, I'd pick something up, give it a go, get some success out of it. Then the success would slowly get slower and slower, and then I'd throw it away. Now, however, I'm trying to persist at something and try and keep going until I reap the rewards. So with the YouTube channel, for example, I'm going to keep trying to make videos daily until I see a massive win. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, but I'll know that I've been determined enough to see it through. Weight loss this year. In the last few years, I've tried it every year probably, where I've started working out. I've maybe gone a month, lost about half a stone, thought, bloody hell, I look alright here, I'm doing alright here, and then gone back into my old ways because something's happened and I've wanted to like have comfort food or something like that. Whereas this time, I'm very much focusing on it and trying to keep it going for as long as I possibly can. So that is 2 little things there that are all determination based that I'm doing at the moment. So determination as a value is probably what I'm trying to live my life by at the moment. What is the best piece of advice I've ever received? This is a weird one. Now, this is from like my previous job, which if you know me from like the Matty's Gaming days on YouTube, then you'll know that I had trouble with my job at the time, which led me into a lot of mental health problems and stuff. But one bit of advice I got whilst I was there was get out. Just leave. Quit your job. Go and do something else. And that, even though it took a lot of guts to write that letter of resignation, and it took a lot of guts to quit my job when I didn't have another job to go to and I still had a mortgage and bills to pay, it was the best piece of advice I've ever received. And that person I unfortunately haven't spoken to in a long, long time because they moved away, which is sad because it'd be nice to still like be in contact with them. But that advice that they gave me, which was essentially get the hell out of here, you need to go and find something that you enjoy doing, was great advice at the end of the day. And it did. It completely changed me as a human, changed me as a person, and changed me for the better as well. I definitely feel like I'm in a much better place now than I was then. One of the less deep questions of the day: pirates or ninjas? I don't know. Who has a preference between pirates and ninjas? If I think really deep into it, Genji from Overwatch is one of my most hated characters to play against, so I think he's a ninja. So we'll get rid of ninjas. We'll go with pirates, like Jack Sparrow and all that jazz. I mean, I don't really have a preference between the two, but pirates if I have to choose. What is your worst habit? My worst habit has got to be pleasure eating, like comfort eating almost. So whenever I feel stressed or anything like that, I used to go to the ice cream, go to the chocolate, and that was like my thing, and that was the worst ever habit. I've got other habits which aren't great, but like that one for me is the one that stands out as being the worst habit that I've ever had, because it changed my body massively, it changed my mentality massively. I was not a happy man. So hopefully I've now got rid of that. That's the fingers crossed. That habit is gone and we can move forward. What's the worst movie I've ever seen? I can't remember what the movie was called, but this is the experience of it. Went to the cinema, was sat in the cinema. It was only like me, the person I was with, and maybe a couple of other people. And then a few other friends maybe with us as well. And we sat watching this film, and it got to the point it was so bad that we basically just started pissing about. This is when I was a teenager at school. It was like a group of lads that I was with. And like one of them was up pretending to do like the weather reporting, like whilst the film's still going on. And the other people in the cinema, like the film was that crap, they didn't care. They were like getting involved with it as well because it was that bad. I just remember we kind of did that for a little bit, pissed around, and then left. Because after about 25 minutes of that film, we were very aware that we'd been ripped off. And we basically did that little bit of messing around, and then we just went home because it was that bad. What's your favourite book? Now, I've got a couple of answers for this. My oldest favourite book is like Stig of the Dump. Read that as a kid, absolutely adored it. And then it had a TV series, which was alright. I quite enjoyed the Stig of the Dump TV series. And then I've used that books in the future when I've been recommending it to people to read to their kids and that sort of thing. Stig of the Dump is a very nice book indeed. However, if we talk like more towards when I was a teenager, I haven't really read since then. Reading's not a passion of mine. If I'm reading, it's usually news-based or video game-based. But one book in particular that I absolutely loved, the series, The Hunger Games, I thought was incredible. And I know that Suzanne Collins is going to bring out a new Hunger Games book soon, which is like a prequel following Snow as a youngster. So I'm probably going to end up reading that. And that'll be the first book I've read in like 7-8 years. So it's one of those series that definitely stuck with me. Obviously it became films after that and was a massive hit worldwide. But for me, those books were they're probably the most engrossed I've been in a book ever. What have I created that I'm most proud of? Now, this one, I'm proud of it for two different reasons. So at one point, going back to the story of when I quit my job, I was depressed. Like really quite badly depressed. My mental health was a mess. And I was in a very, very dark place. And I remember making a YouTube video for the Ayres gaming channel, which was simply called I Quit My Job. And in that video, I took time to record different camera angles, to really think about how I edited it. And then when I put that video out, it's probably the thing I was most proud of. I had it, and that video itself was just perfect for what I was trying to portray to everybody else. Obviously, it's on my old YouTube channel now. You guys can probably go find it if you really wanted to. Ayres Gaming, I Quit My Job, something along those lines, and you'll find it. It was a good video. I was quite proud of what I made there. Obviously, that channel didn't turn out to be what I wanted it to be. It kind of got lost in the YouTube algorithm and didn't gain subscribers anymore, unfortunately. So I decided to start again. Another thing that I'm really proud of that I've created is a song that I've got called Save Me, that I wrote around the same time as being at the job that I was at and quitting that job. I wrote it around the same time, and that song, honestly, if it wasn't me singing it and if it was Ed Sheeran singing it, would probably sell. It would do bits. It's a very well written song. I'm very proud of it, and it's potentially one that I want to record one day if I ever get the chance or get the funds to do so. So yeah, that's two things I've created that I'm really quite proud of for two different reasons. Like, one of them is artistic. The other one was bravery and artistic as well. Like, I loved it. We'll finish on this one. What's the favourite piece of clothing that I own? I had a bit of a wardrobe change recently. When I got together with my now current girlfriend just over like a year and a half ago, she was like, what the hell are you wearing? Essentially, stuff needed to change. And I mean, I'm not exactly repping the best stuff now. I'm about to go and try out a gym, hence why I'm wearing like Nike top. But yeah, she was like, right, we're going to go and get you a whole new wardrobe. And it was mainly because like all the stuff that I had was like too big for me, because I'd left that job that I was at where I was eating ice cream like 5 times a day, and it would put on a lot of weight. I'd lost that weight after leaving that job when I met her, and I'm still losing that weight now, really. I'm still trying to get down there, but I'd lost quite a lot of weight, so clothes didn't fit anymore. So we got a new wardrobe. And you've got like new jeans and stuff like that, some new tops that I quite like. But one thing that sticks out to me as my favorite piece of clothing is I got these Adidas white trainers, and they are just pure white. There's no color on them at all, and I've kept them quite pristine. I wear them only when I know I'm going somewhere that's not going to get any slight part muddy, and those trainers for me, they're like my pride and joy. So those are the bad boys that I'm most proud of, that I own. Definitely my favorite piece of clothing, and only come out in good weather conditions. So there we have it, guys. I've answered a few random questions for you, and you guys probably know a little bit more about me now. What I want to know, though, is a bit more about you. So let me know in the comments, how would you guys have answered those questions? I know some of them were quite deep and dark, but we've had some other funny moments as well. Hopefully you guys can start a conversation down in the comments. If you enjoyed, hit a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.